All right, so let's continue with mitosis. So we did mitosis, understanding the cell cycle, but now we're going to go into asexual reproduction. So I can define asexual reproduction and recognize the different types of asexual reproduction. So what is asexual reproduction? Obviously, asexual is not having sex. So it's specialized sex cells without having sex. This is a production of new organisms, okay? Now, they go under mitotic cell division. So this is again mitosis. All right. The new organisms are genetically identical to the parent. Remember I told you before that is called 2N because it produces two identical daughter cells. First one we're talking about is binary fission. Binary fission does it evenly. So this is when the nucleus divides by mitosis along the cytoplasm and makes two equal sized cells. Our examples is amoeba and paramecium. Basically, this is like you looking in the mirror. You say, "Oh my goodness, girl, you look good. We need two of us." And all of a sudden, there's two of you because you begin to split. That's what you're seeing here. This one right here, paramecium. He begins to look in the mirror, think he's good. You see how he's splitting in half. And once he's split in half, it made it two. And then it starts going back to the regular size. Budding. So budding is a division of cytoplasm of one unequal. So binary fission was equal, budding is unequal. So one daughter cell is larger than the other. We have hydra or yeast. Now what I call it is that a budding is like you have a little buddy connected to you, like your little mini me. So you see here with the hydra, and it's got this little hydra hanging off. So what eventually happens, that little hydra will get big enough and get too heavy and fall off. Okay, um, just like this. Eventually, the little bud, this is yeast, and all of a sudden, that a little piece will just fall off and go about its business. So again, budding is like having a little buddy growing from you. Sporulation, biggest key here is you see sporo, which is spores. Spores are made in large amounts, okay? They are made in large amounts, and they coat themselves with large numbers because the spores, once the spore spreads, it's everywhere. This is bread mold, fungi, and bacteria. So now, like, if you got a piece of bread, oh, that's an ugly piece of bread, and you see that mold on the first bread, that whole bag that the bread is in is bad because the spores travel throughout the whole bag. Some people be like, no, it's on that first one. I remember, people, grandmamas and mamas be like, you ain't better waste my bread. You better take the first two slices away from that mold and throw it away because ain't the rest of that bread is good. No, you ate spores. Everything else is contaminated because it's inside of an enclosed place. So that's one reason why they always say one bad apple can spoil the bunch. Um, because if it has spores and it's bacteria, you really can buy a brand new strawberry and then have one that had a little piece of mold on it, and all of them have mold on it because the spores done traveled. You can't erase the spores. So like the little, I don't know. I think they want to call it dandelions, but I'm not. I'm not thinking of dandelions, but the There's spores outside. When you pick them up and you blow them, that's spores. But it's not. Those is going to deal with more of the asexual reproduction. But mushrooms, they have spores, and they're basically the asexual. They grow. Soon as you keep that mushroom down, the spores hit the ground and it causes more to grow. Then we also have vegetative propagation. But with vegetative propagation, there are basically new plants are made from roots, stems, leaves, or parent plants. And we're going to talk about 5 different ways. First way we're going to talk about is cutting. Cutting. So cutting is going to be doing from new plants, and we're going to be cutting from the ends of the plants and stems. So there's different plants that we can do that with. We have colas and ger geraniums. So basically, you can cut them and those plants still grow. Um, Even like bamboo and stuff, you cut it. Like if you go to a Chinese restaurant and they got them sitting inside the rocks with the water, that's what this is. We have bulbs. All right, so bulbs is like an onion. The underground stems made from existing bulbs. So of course, onions, tulips, lilies, they have bulbs that go underground. And as you see for an onion, that's the piece that comes out and grows. This is what stays under the ground. Okay, and that's what we eat. Y'all ever seen the movie Hose? And he would just pick up the onions from a pretty flower and then just start chewing it up with this big old bulb. Yeah. The third one is tuber, which is an underground stem stored in it. So basically, we have plants, but this is a potato because the potato actually grows from these roots, so it kind of grows underground. Now on there, those little dots that are on the potatoes, and they start doing, guess what grows from there? Other potatoes and roots. Yeah, those little buds that are on it. Um, that's gonna grow some more friends, okay? Then we have runner. Now, runner is a horizontal stem that grows close to the ground and it connects. This is like strawberries. Strawberries connect. It's like they keep on connecting and growing and growing. That's how they keep on going, becoming big and long. Grafting. This is basically when you cut a twig or a branch to another one. So flowers and seedless plants. The thing is because it eventually will intertwine and it will begin to grow as one. So the cells intertwine and make more again uh, mitotic cells, which allows it to grow as one. All right, then regeneration. Also, we call is one's very similar called fragmentation. Okay, so this is fragmentation. So this is a planaria. This is basically when you cut this little flatworm up into multiple pieces, you made multiple worms. You didn't kill it, you, you made multiple worms. Now, regeneration is going to be the replacement or regrowth. So this will be a lobster or a starfish. So or even a lizard, when he loses its tail, it eventually grows back. Um, Starfish eventually will grow back. But fragmentation, whatever you cut, it becomes a new thing too. So a lobster tail. Why can we always eat lobster tails? Because their tail goes back. Give it a couple weeks, their tail grows back. So why kill the whole lobster when I can keep recutting your tail off every time it grows? That's the end of the notes. Real short and simple. So are we gonna do? I have some star questions. And so what's the division of the cell nucleus? What's that division called? We need to know that. The division of the cell nucleus. Mitosis, right? Protein that regulates the cell cycle. This is from our last notes. The proteins that regulates the cell cycle. Cyclins. So if an apple tree can produce 3 different types of apple on one tree, what had happened? Grafting, right? Because we had to connect it to another tree. In the series of events that cells go through as they grow and divide. The cell cycle. If you knew these star questions, then you're doing pretty well. If you did not, that means you need to go back and study, okay? All right.